Available in paperback at e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Before I get into this review of Pop Vs Zombie Tramp, I wanted to let everyone know that the books of the SJS Direct 2024 catalog are now available in paperback and digital format on Amazon.com and other online booksellers. And at Amazon.com and those booksellers, you can pick up those books in the 2024 catalog, such as John Haynes' Illuminati, Isis, Dark Incubus, and Esteemed Horror in the Hamptons, along with the titles of the SJS Direct universe, and you can get all those books at your favorite online bookseller right now. Now, I'm currently working on the books of the SJS Direct 2025 catalog, and right now I'm in the home stretch for the novel Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer, and that book, which was supposed to be a light novel, has exploded past 100,000 words in the first draft, and I'm still wondering how I'm going to be able to get this book to feature all the images and that over 100,000 words, and get that together to make what's looking like a heavy novel and not the light one I originally planned. Now, I have one of the books of the SJS Direct 2025 catalog finished as related to a draft, Esteemed Season of the Witch Girl, and right now I have to start writing the Isis and John Haynes stories, and I hope to have the SJS Direct 2025 catalog up very soon, because I'm working on it right now. But until then, you can pick up those 2024 books and enjoy those books, and you can also pick up John Haynes at Death's Door at Lulu.com and check out the first full SJS Direct comic, and you can also get Esteemed No Good Deed, the first digital comic, for 99 cents on Kindle, or you can pick up a paper copy in the Esteemed series book, Esteemed Blast from the Past. Now, I've been a big fan of Dan Mendoza's comics ever since he was working at Action Lab on the Zombie Tramp series, and it was there that I saw how great the Zombie Tramp character was. But as Dan Mendoza was working on that book, he had issues with the Action Lab company and eventually got the rights back to his character, and now is publishing them under his Still Ill Princess imprint. And he's been doing a great job on those books until about one book I recently reviewed a couple of weeks ago. It was called Lady Death vs. Zombie Tramp. And I thought this book was going to be a really great story because it featured Lady Death, a character who is the embodiment of death, and Zombie Tramp. And I thought these characters would work well together. Unfortunately, the book that I read basically just didn't come together, and I basically chalked it up to Dan Mendoza having an off day. And us writers, we can have off days where we have a concept we think is going to do well in our heads or on paper. We'll think that the concept will work. Unfortunately, things just won't come together. And I had that happen to me when I did the story The Politics of Hell, which was the first appearance of Lucifer in the SJS Direct universe. And I also had it happen to me with an Isis series story called Isis Death of a Theta. And those stories were basically where I had an off day, so I understood what was happening here as related to Lady Death vs. Zombie Tramp. Dan was having an off day because he was basically working with one of his characters with a character that he usually doesn't work with, because Lady Death is owned by Brian Padullo, and while Brian Padullo has a good sense of Lady Death, Dan really didn't have that good sense as related to her character. And that's basically what led to Dan having an off day as related to this story, because it never really came together and really flowed organically from first page to the last. Now, I was deeply disappointed with Lady Death vs. Zombie Tramp, and this was the first Dan Mendoza book that I felt so disappointed by that I wound up putting it on eBay. Even though it had an Isabel cover, I put it up on eBay because I felt, it just wasn't up to my standard of writing. And I thought, why leave it in my collection when somebody else can enjoy it? And somebody went and bought it and took it overseas, and that person right now is enjoying that book. And I felt it would be better to just give that comic to someone who would enjoy it. And that's what I did with Lady Death versus Zombie Tramp. And again, I had no grievance with Dan Mendoza, because I have had those bad days myself as related to writing. You get a concept you're passionate about, and it just doesn't work when you take it to the page. I mean, sometimes you get a concept in your head, but when you execute it, it just doesn't work out. And the only thing you can do is just put a period at the end of things and move on to the next story. And sometimes when you get to that next story, you can get back up to top form. And that's what's happened here with Dan Mendoza's Sugar Pop versus Zombie Tramp. Basically, these characters are ones that he knows and has a good sense of. And because he has a good sense of these characters, we get a really great structure for this story, in that we get a hero, an anti-hero, and a villain. And each of these characters play well off each other in the dynamics as related to a 3-act paradigm in a compelling story that basically grabs you from the first page and takes you into the last page. Just exceptionally well done work here by Dan Mendoza in this book, which I consider to be one of the best comics of 2024, and basically gets us back up to the usual high standard that Dan Mendoza has when he publishes comics, because I've always seen Dan Mendoza's work as being absolutely fantastic. His Zombie Tramp run could have easily been something I could have seen in the pages of The Incredible Hulk. I mean, Janie Bell's tragedy basically surpasses that of Bruce Banner, and the story of Janie Bell just got better when he took the reins from Action Lab, basically retconning everything and making it flow nicely. And this book basically shows how great a storyteller he is, because he basically again takes these two characters from two different worlds and creates a very compelling story in what was called the Zombie Tramp universe. And this book opens up and again does a great job of introducing us to these characters, introducing us to their story and how they come together for this conflict. I love how we get this introduction to Sugar Pop, the unicorn. We get an introduction to her in less than 3 pages that lets us get to know who she is and what she wants to do. And what she wants to do is basically look to protect other versions of her former boyfriend, Henry, and wants to protect those former boyfriends in alternate realities to keep them from suffering this fate that Henry suffered as related to this post-apocalyptic world, and wants to share that love. And again, we get a great opening again with the first page, which again shows us Sugar Pop's tragedy and her love and everything as related to it, her losing her race of people. And that takes us into the plot, where we are entering into the place where she has to go, and she wants to go to be able to go to these alternate realities and be able to find a Henry that she can go out here and protect. And that really puts her in the path of Zombie Tramp, who's in the middle of looking to get her next meal. We also get an introduction to Lil Six again here. Again, great introduction to all the characters and draws us in. And again, in less than 4 to 5 pages, we are in the story. So this is really solid writing. This is what you're supposed to do in a comic. Again, use 3 to 5 pages to draw us in. Use 3 to 5 pages to get us into the story and make us care. And as we get into the story and we're in this restaurant where Zombie Tramp is going for a meal, I'm not going to give away too much of this comic because Dan worked hard on this comic, and he worked hard to pay the Zong brothers, who did a fantastic job on this book to make it look like anime. I mean, the art really pops in this book. It just really comes to life like anime. I love the colors. I love the designs. Just, again, exceptionally well done art and just solid writing. So this book is one that you will not be disappointed by, the way I was disappointed by Lady Death versus Zombie Tramp. No, this book is just absolutely fantastic, and you're definitely going to want to, again, pick this one up because this one has all the action and has really great storytelling, not to mention a whole lot of jiggle, because when you're writing heroines, you do need some jiggle to get guys interested as related to the visuals, and you also, but in addition to the jiggle, you also get a compelling story, and that's what puts Dan Mendoza at the top as related to writing heroines. He writes heroines who have great personalities, great voices, and not to mention great looks, and puts it together in a package that's rated R for nudity and violence, but that nudity and violence features people that you care about, so you want to continue reading these books. So I can highly recommend you go out here and get Sugar Pop and Zombie Tramp, because this is Dan Mendoza at top form. I can highly recommend it because this book basically shows how Lady Death vs. Zombie Tramp was an off day for him, but this book is on, and it's on like hot buttered popcorn, and you're not going to be disappointed by this story. No, you're not going to be disappointed at all. It's got everything you want in a great action adventure story, and is the kind of action I definitely, again, recommend for those of us who like rated R books like Sister Mercy and other books that feature the jiggle. I mean, if you like those kind of books, yeah, you're gonna like this one. Now, this book is, again, not only rated R for nudity, but also the violence, which is kind of gory in this book, but is par for the course for Dan Mendoza books, which mix horror and action. And this is one you definitely want to pick up, because this is high quality storytelling, really solid writing, and again, proves my point that a book is good when the script is solid, and everything starts with the script. And the script that started with this book basically is one that really is, again, rock solid. So you're in for an experience with Sugar Pop vs. Zombie Tramp. Now, I bought the paper copy, but this book was so good I had to review the digital one. And I reviewed the digital one because, again, this book is just so great. I wanted to make a review video as soon as possible because I really want people to know how great this book is. And I want you to see Dan Mendoza at top form, and this is him at top form, putting together two of his best characters in a really fantastic and absolutely compelling story you just can't miss. Now, if you want to see me be able to do more comic review videos and be able to pay to help the crowdfunding projects of guys like Dan Mendoza, who've been doing a fantastic job, you can send a donation to the Cash App or the PayPal by clicking the link in the description box. And those donations are not only used to buy great comics and support indie creators like Dan Mendoza, they're also used to pay for my internet and pay for the covers on SJS Direct books, not to mention also raise funds to be able to launch the next SJS Direct comic. And that's something I'd love to do, but I can only do that with your help if you donate to the PayPal or the Cash App. Now, I've finished this review. I'm going to say that that's all I have to say for this review, and I hope you'll be there for the next comic review, where I hope to review another great indie comic by another indie creator. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Amari's Revenge. The goddess next door is confronted by a Nubian queen out for revenge at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in this inaugural Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Amari's Revenge in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. The goddess next door takes on the threat of a deadly digital diva driven to destroy the world in this action-packed, all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess featuring a bonus pin-up and the other two books in the Cyber Goddess saga at online booksellers everywhere today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteem, Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem, Horror in the Hamptons in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.